So I think we are picking up outside of Camp Vengeance. You guys have basically just set in on the shoreline. I think you can see occasional torches around the edge of this palisade of rather fresh cut trees that kind of lines or outlines the camp at present. You'll see before you there is a kind of small hill built up to the like essentially along the natural embankment, kind of walking out of the river. And to the sides of this, there has been a trench dug around the outside perimeter of most of this place. You see that the inside wall of the trench is lined with spiked tree trunks. They're definitely larger sections of trees and kind of yeah, let's start with the first roll of the day. Let me get a wisdom roll from everybody.
Starting off strong.
So, yeah, Terran and Island are going to pick up real quick that those spikes aren't going to do much good against like random roving undead, but dinosaurs, those spikes will do some work against dinosaurs. So there's like a certain level of how this place is set up right now. They have a sense of defense, whereas Righteous did not. And this place is far more walled off to protect itself, perhaps from roving large animals, than it is in particular against the roving undead and other humanoids. But among the situation, also, you can see they've also cut down parts of the forest to actually give them a view. Ahead of you, you see like an initial gate. The gates are currently closed. It is after dark. You see a little bit of like the torchlight kind of illuminating the outsides, and you can tell that there are guards on top of that gate in front of you. And you can see that there's a couple of other guard towers that seem to be kind of the centralized points of most of the rest of the light at various points around the actual post here. But as you all land, you have as many boats as they have here. So as you prepare to dock, there's going to be 8 rowboats set up along that dock. What would you all like to do as you pull into dock? Um, you're about like an hour and a half or 2 hours away from dusk. I think you found the dwarf around dusk. And you
Did we lose? Did we lose a boat? I counted 7 when we departed the other location.
feel like you had 4. Was it 5? I don't think it was 7.
No, I think we had 5. 3
5.
original, and then
That's right.
2 that we got from the Temple of Crocodile Man.
Oh yeah, I was forgotten the random boat that you guys found in one of the treasures.
Goblin
Well,
boat.
Yeah.
Did we take that boat with us, or did we just take the paddles from it?
I felt like you guys had it because at that point you were starting to do 3 boats.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
pretty
3
sure you had
boats.
3 for a while, so it should be 5.
We got 2 at the temple, probably.
So you're
Oh
basically docking up.
Yeah, 5 sounds right. Sorry.
Yeah, you're basically docking up with 9 boats here.
So, can you tell me about the gate again? Like when we look up the path at the gate, is it closed and there's somebody up there to talk to?
You can't necessarily like you can see that there are guards there. You can't really make out what's going on. They are definitely behind the actual gate and standing up and above it. Most of the walls, especially around the actual gate itself, are probably about most of those logs are probably 10 to 12 foot cuts. The guards themselves are kind of standing back. Essentially, the light is blinding you to being able to see them by standing like off of the actual um like edge of it, because basically there's torches kind of overhanging the actual palisade. But before you can make out that there's some reinforced log gates before you. The actual ramp leading up to it is pretty wide, so you could get a lot of stuff through there. Um, but I think you had the better role there. I think you could probably tell that most of the dinosaurs you've seen, that gate can handle getting hit by them.
So what do you guys think? I mean, I think we want to try to spend the night in there if we can, right?
Yes, probably should announce ourselves. They're like to be on edge, so sooner we identify ourselves as friends, the better.
And we don't know if Echo has any friends here, right?
I have met some of their people over time, but that does not mean they are friends of mine.
It's basically announce ourselves as friends and approach the door.
That
Let's
sounds
do it.
good to me.
So, ho the camp. We try to get someone's attention. We're not dinosaurs. We're friends.
I think Jarek would have, if he didn't have a torch. I feel like he had a torch on the boat, but if not, he would light one up so we could kind of see a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like we had you lit by Island's light, but that doesn't necessarily mean like you guys can't land and light torches.
Yeah, I think we had one torch maybe in the back, and you're right. I think he lit up the boat, but as we disembark, Jarek would light up a torch.
So you all can place yourselves here. Like when I've got a map up, you can usually place yourselves.
So I guess Jarek would start walking towards the gate. Maybe he would, once he was about 20 feet away, he would call out a hail to the kind of can't really make out too well the figures up above, but he would call out to them.
What do you say?
Just, hail, um, uh, well met.
You just see a silhouette kind of step up, and it starts to light a little bit of an armored figure. Who goes there? And as they start to call out to you, you see that a second figure steps up near them.
Travelers, from the north. We were hoping for hoping to stay the night, perhaps speak with the one in charge.
How many of you come?
I can't count off the top of my head, but Jarek would know, and he would give them an honest answer. I feel like it'd be
5 with Echo?
I think
assuming
at present you guys are basically, I think Taryn and Barney have yet to actually get their retinue. So I think you would have 10, so 8, so 9 people.
yeah. So Jarek would say, 9. I am Jarek. Um,
An island. I'll wave with my
Approach the
hands
gate,
out.
please. Come closer. You just see as those two take a few moments to kind of look over you all. And then after a second, you see one of them kind of like step back off into the haze.
the Jarek, thinking maybe they're going to check with the maybe guard captain. He'll kind of wait patiently. Kind of knows that are likely to be suspicious of letting people in, so he doesn't want to make any cause and create any waves.
I feel like that looks right.
I mean, I guess unless I don't know if we're assuming Dirt is with us, but otherwise, yeah.
No, I dropped Dirt.
Oh, sorry. Yep, I see him, and he lost his sidekick
Yeah,
too,
my
right?
math was off that his sidekick basically will probably get introduced here as well.
Yeah. So
So yeah, you'll see as those two guards kind of stand in watch over you all. There's just like an awkward few moments. You guys introduce yourselves. They're not really responsive at this point. But after some time, you're going to see someone walk up, and I would like the first person who can to roll a d6.
That gives you good range to work with.
So you'll see as a human man, darker skin, mostly grayed out hair, kind of like a purple robe draped with a couple of layers at this point. Ooh, I never actually checked the weather. Rolled right onto my keyboard. Yeah, so it's raining like pretty good here. So he's coming out in like a few layers of like outer clothing to keep the rain off of him, and he kind of steps out to you all. Yeah, he would actually have like a small headed mace. It's essentially like a 3 foot or so rod, and the head of it is lit. Let me get a religion check from, I know at least Island. Um, yeah, and Dirt's not here.
No, decent roll.
Yeah. So as he like approaches, you can see his mace is like lit up, and you can see the end of his mace is all all metallic, and it's glowing with a white light. But it looks like a bandaged limb. And I feel like at very least you are going to pick up very quickly that this is a religious symbol of the god Tyr. Who are you who've come to my camp?
Go ahead, Jared.
we are travelers from come from Port Nyanzaru.
You've come by boat, by land?
We traveled along the river for the most part.
How many of you are ill?
None.
You are capable. Your travel you made safely?
We have had some setbacks. Several of our companions, unfortunately, were lost along the way, but those of us who remain are healthy.
So he's gonna kind of like nod off to one of them, and one of the other guards is gonna step away. How many did your party begin with?
Six, 7.
You have 8 people with you. How many people have you lost?
Those
think
of us
the numbers-
who. Sorry, go ahead.
I think the number's 3 that we put to rest on the path.
Isn't it only 2? Am I missing someone?
No, I was about to say, did I fuck up? Like I've got 2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dirt
I
didn't have
fucked up.
or
Okay.
I thought I heard you guys say that Dirt lost his companion. And I thought, oh, is that a third one?
No, his is the second. Valdis and Ganida are the 2 who have died. Have we lost anyone else?
No, I wasn't here last week, so I'm not. I shouldn't be speaking.
Just assume. Gotta be somebody died.
Now everyone's here that was here last week, so we're good.
Well, we put Brave Valdis and Gonidas to rest out in the jungle. The rest of us have fared relatively well.
there were some of us after we left the port. We met up with a couple of our companions, and Jarek will point to Barney and Dirt. Say we met them on the in the jungles.
So before he actually has like time for you all to answer there, the gates are already opening. You'll see a guard below, who's got another like freshly lit torch in hand, standing just on the other side of what is essentially like a boxed room. So they're opening the gates, and you can walk into this like murder hole, basically. Um, and each side of it is just very sturdy embankments. Um, Let me have who's got investigation? Taryn and Barney, as you all walk through, let me have you guys do an investigation or perception, actually, and then Aylin, let me get a perception from you.
So you wanted perception from me and Barney too.
Well, you two can either choose perception or investigation as you walk through.
Oh, okay.
So you all are going to notice that it's like a small corridor inside of it. And effectively what's going on is there's these solid earth platforms that are built up alongside of it. And again, this is only reconfirming that this place is built against large animals that can just basically walk through their defensive perimeter. That's basically predominantly an earth-filled embankment that rises those 10 feet above the ground. And you can see, like basically between some of those logs, there's earth kind of like on the other side of it. And it's just another clue as to what they're really after in this location. Trying to find safety from the undead is something, but doing anything to prevent them from just walking into town is a lot. But this place is realistically built up against the large creatures of the jungle. So as you all walk in, you'll see as the guard kind of buttons up everything behind you, and locks the gate before he retreats back outside. You'll see the old man from up above is going to come down and kind of more or less like look you all over closer, just inside of the gate. Very quickly walking through this gate, like every step, the mud is going to get deeper until you're in almost ankle deep mud inside of this location. It is not well draining. Um, yeah, the longer you all spend in this place, the sooner you're going to start to get whiffs of horrendous, like rotting flesh. This place is a cesspool of disease, and it's not going to take long to kind of pick that up.
Well, if nobody's sick when we arrive, we will be if we stay for very long. Under my breath to Jarek.
Jarek will kind of try to give a subtle nod just to indicate he heard the comment, and kind of he's trying to subtly not, like, hold his nose, but kind of trying not to smell the air too much. But
I mention as we come in, wonder if there's any help we can do for these people.
We have plenty of need for assistance. Many of us came here straight from Righteous, and we have been beset by plagues. If you come prepared to heal, we have many who are sick and injured. If you have such magics.
can you? What kind of plague disease are we talking about? What are the symptoms?
I have people ill from mad monkey fever to it's basically all of the diseases. Give me 1 second to actually flip to the page to be able to list them for you.
I mean, Jarek wouldn't know probably too much about these diseases, not being from this area, but
Well, a lot of them are things that you guys are already prepared for on some level from Eku's warning. She kind of warned you all about these diseases. And this is just one of the examples of they're just kind of locked out here a little bit too far away from civilization at present. All right, well, I'm not finding it right off the bat, but it is. Here we go. Mad monkey disease. Nope, that wasn't it. It's the shit that the mosquito is carrying, because that's another kind of madness. And I feel like there's a waterborne one as well. I think it's 3 different diseases that are rampant in the jungles out here.
Well, we can certainly share some of our insect repellent salve for your people.
How much of this salve have you brought?
Not much, but perhaps a dozen doses.
Gonna see as his head kind of drops a little bit. I have 58 souls under my command here.
Well, it
Yeah.
seems like
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that it would be beneficial if we could help them fall some more trees and build up their interior so they don't have to walk in the muck.
Or cut some drainage in. Are all 58 souls sick?
You'll forgive me for not simply just trusting, but we have many who are ill.
And what of your other supplies, food and fresh water? We don't have much, but
We have some Sultans who assist us, and they go out on hunting parties for us. We have managed with fresh water, though it's not always safe to assume day to day that it remains so. More than anything, I need boats, either to commandeer yours, buy them, or perhaps send you back to Nyanzaru with some of my men.
well, as it happens, we came across Camp Righteous on our way down, and we did manage to recover several boats. Um, Perhaps they could be of use.
I think we owe them an explanation what happened at Camp Righteous, what we found.
And what did you find at Righteous?
We found the camp abandoned, and it looked like it had been that way for days. We just came from there, set out this morning.
We brought 2 canoes from there. Are those canoes yours, perhaps?
We lost many that day. I would not be surprised to know that among what we had lost at the camp was canoes, but Bedlam took over quick enough that it was hard to know where and when people were lost. But please, come into my tent. We will take dinner and continue this. So he'll walk you into that central command tent. As you guys will walk in, you'll see that there are 2 people basically laying down on either side of the actual tent itself. But otherwise, he will basically go inside and offer you all different places. There's like essentially going to be simply a table inside, like along that back wall, and at least some space for which to kind of set things out and essentially be out of the rain at present.
I'll ask if we should we light an insect repellent incense in your tent here for everyone?
I don't think you all have those.
No, I think we only have salves.
I have some incense repellent. I have some insect repellent incense in my inventory.
I thought you all bought the salve.
I've been roughing it without it.
Yeah, I've been assuming that they're sharing with you.
Okay, I have both. So we think. I think I wasn't there the day that we bought stuff, so we think that this is by error. This repellent incense.
I have a feeling that is probably by error.
Yeah, I think we initially were going to buy the incense, but we ended up going with the salves.
Okay. I have 38 of those between us and not for the cleric of tier to know. That sound right? I haven't really. I don't know when. I kind of have missed our camping
I don't
deductions. I
think
think.
anybody. I don't think anybody in particular has been keeping up with the day to day as to how much would be expended. But effectively,
I've been trying to, but it's not. I don't think it's probably not right. I think I've got 28 or 26 now in my.
yeah, I think you guys left on the 17th, and I think this is the 24th. So I think you currently should have essentially 7 per character. On some level, that will both include you and your hireling. And then, like, once you picked up dirt, you have to add that in. In the long run, I don't find any of that entertaining. So, just like in big blocks, I would kind of just knock that stuff out, kind of thing. Um, but yeah, like when Dirt and Barney joined you guys, that would be extra taxation on effectively. I think you all had purchased 2 like containers of the solve, and I think it was 20 per solve.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. I think we started with 40. Yeah.
Just like 7 days later now.
Yeah, so I think you guys started off basically with 6 of those containers with 120 doses, and you basically use 10 a day at this point. Like close to that 10. So it's one of those things like you've basically got enough for like approximately 16 days out in the jungle.
In a day. Okay.
Mm. Thank you for your hospitality. Might I ask your name? What should we call you?
Commander Breakbone. And he'll reach out his hand with kind of the palm up, or not the palm up, the palm down, and his fingers just kind of like limply out. Um, Very clearly, this is somebody who expects your obedience as well as your like subservience.
Jarek will kind of give a small formal nod, but he doesn't seem particularly deferential. I guess he's not trying to be rude about it, but he's not. Yeah, kind of like being cordial, but uh, not too deferential.
Bam, got a mad monkey fever, shivering sickness, and throat leeches.
Throat leeches sounds lovely.
That's why the water is so important. Tell me, what can you do for my ill? Have you any healers amongst you?
Sure. I'm your servant of saloon. I could do some healing, mostly of wounds, not so much of disease.
So you'll hear as he, at like a response to that, he'll say, "Ord," and you'll see as one of the soldiers on the north side of the tent gonna kind of startle a little bit into consciousness, and after a moment he'll sit up, stand at attention, and he'll basically salute over to Breakbone. Yes, sir. Your command. And then Breakbone's going to say to Ord, bring Sister Sias here. So he's going to head out of the tent for a few moments. What?
Can we can? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Nope. Go ahead.
I was just going to see if we could contribute any of what the bounty the jungles brought us to the meal for tonight. Do we still have some of that backstrap, Jarek?
I think whatever I had taken is gone.
Okay. My mistake then.
I can certainly do my own methods of feeding these people.
Well, we just don't want to tax your resources. You know, you got your hands full here.
Oh, was that Eku?
Yeah, that would be Eku. You all would well know that she is easily capable of feeding this camp.
Oh, Eku, such a blessing. Every day.
Yes, we would be, in return for your hospitality, we would be happy to help provide some food for for you and your men. It's perhaps not the most flavorful fare, but it is filling. Served us well enough on our journey.
What is the meaning of your expedition? You come so prepared, but I see none of you are members of the Order of the Gauntlet.
We have been tasked by one in Port Nyanzaru to uh, explore the jungle. He has an interest in the area.
He's gonna reach out with his left hand. Your commands.
I'm afraid our arrangement was somewhat less formal than that.
Brilliant. So, I will tell you what you will be doing from now on. We are in a state of a military emergency, and I will be requiring your service. I'm glad to have you, and you're very welcome to be here.
Better here than out there.
What sort of service do you think we would be useful for?
I have 7 extremely ill soldiers who need returned to Nyanzaru. And I think it would be wise to send one of my captains with messages to return with further aid so we can bolster this location.
And given your men's sickness, do you think they will be allowed back into the port?
With proper priests, we should be able to get everyone healed up. As far as we can tell, there's no contagion among them.
Well, then can we cut that number down a little by healing a few of them here? I may be able to help with that. Then you can take our 2 canoes and maybe take 6 men back to Nyanzaru with your captain.
And about that moment, you're going to see A woman, kind of early 30s, is going to step into the tent. Um, spent no effort to try to block herself from the rain as she walked in here, and just looks absolutely exhausted. I'm afraid their injuries are not as simple as the most easy of curatives. They are currently beyond my capability. But our need is great for healers of all types. If you are capable of helping, that will be a great aid.
Can I tell what kind of healer she is? Do I have a sense of that? Do a religion check.
Like what god she follows?
Yeah.
You're going to see very quickly she follows Helm. Um, you're gonna see over most of the emblems of this group, everybody wears some sort of a silver gauntlet, like around their neck or just like over a breastplate. And then essentially everybody also has like some semblance of their deity, which is one of the triumvirate. But she serves Helm.
Well, Matt, you must be Sister Sidra.
Silas.
Sias. I'm Island, and I'll introduce the rest of the companions.
Uh, Good to meet you, Island. And she's gonna look over to Breakbone. Firebeard told me they had a healer with them. Can I take him with me? And she's just gonna look over all of you.
I'm going to jump up. I will come with you. Does anybody else want to come?
You'll just see like a level of surprise over her face, like already having talked to you. She tried to like size you up, and she did not get an impression of you.
I'll walk with Aelin.
Um, well met, dwarf.
Barney at your service.
So she's going to start. What? Oh, my bad.
I just want to try to get a read from Jarek as our sort of default speaker if he thinks I'm crazy or not, but I'm just planning to just be compliant and pliable in this situation. So I shoot a questioning look at Jarek.
Do you have a clear emblem of Saloon on your person?
Yes.
Do you serve your goddess? What healings do you have?
Well, I can cure wounds and by touch or by Saloon's power, and I after we get some rest tomorrow, I'll also have some restoration, I believe. What do you need?
We can use all of that. And basically, she's going to ask the same question of Barney as she looks over his person to see like what god to speak to. But otherwise, she kind of like looks over for a moment and your god, the what powers do they grant you?
I'm just useful, ma'am. Looking to find a way to help you drain this water away from your patients.
That, my friend, is a good idea.
Sorry, my mic was cutting out a little bit, so I didn't catch all of what you were asking, Larry to Jarek.
I just Island's just being really helpful and pliable in this situation, but giving you a look to see what you think about that. Because leaving the group isn't a great idea, but doesn't seem like we have a lot of choice. So I just give you a questioning look like, is that all right, boss?
Jarek would kind of try and give like a sort of like a very subtle nod, and hearing Barney speak up as well, Jarek would say, I'm I'm no true healer, but I have a bit of uh, field medic training. I don't know what use I'll be against disease, but
So this is where like you guys are going to be expending resources. So on some level, like anything that doesn't cost you a resource is not going to help these people. When it comes to things that you can do, spending days here and creating irrigation might be the type of stuff that you're creative enough to do. But it's going to be a certain level of test to see if it's actually effective because you're in a rainforest. So creating like holes is not the same as actually being successful at creating drainage. Um, Spending spell slots on healing, 100% going to help. But there's 58 people who are getting sick on a daily basis. Using up your mosquito repellent type of thing that it will help keep people from getting sick so you can get in front of it. But then the mosquito repellent's going to disappear and you're right back in the same situation where you guys have 67 people who can potentially get sick every night they fall asleep. Um, and that's where this is really going to come to heads. You guys can go on their mission and try to bring back help to Camp Vengeance, or you can basically stay here and try to get ahead of things until all of a sudden all of your resources are gone. But that's one thing you guys will see very quickly here and kind of gather that this place is the type of place where you might never leave.
Yeah, that's why I was pitching this idea that we get there, a few of them healthy enough to take the rest of them back to the city. Didn't seem like anybody liked that idea.
I mean, Jarek thinks probably our best option is, we have kind of a limited supply ourselves. So if we, agree to take some of them back and try and make the port, perhaps if we, once we're there, maybe we can find a way to gather up some additional supplies or bring back some more aid, for maybe speak with the Gauntlet, the Order representatives, and back in the port and see what they think. But I also gets the impression that the longer we stay here, the harder it's going to be for us to leave. So like he kind of
And that's part of where
Oh,
you guys have already heard he has commandeered your expedition. So on some level, you guys are going to have to either come to terms with these people or serve their needs. And what that's going to come down to here is Eku will walk over with Barney and with Island. The four of you are going to see in the north tent, there are 3 other healers who are walking around the tent, treating approximately 12 people who are inside of the tent. And they'll basically, just inside of that tent, they'll ask you all to expend essentially every spell slot you have.
Which I think we're willing to do today.
So lesser restoration will help with the diseases. Actually being able to use cure wounds helps with the people who have like physical injuries. And it's kind of like a 50-50 of what you'll come to. Like of those 12 people, about half of them will be diseased and about half of them will be like severely injured. So depending on how many spell slots you have to expend, you can burn those Do you have lesser restoration prepared right now?
I don't. I'm going to prepare it tonight. Like I have one spell left to be prepared. I mean, I know it, so I just put it in my list, but I didn't ever prepare it. So not till
Gotcha.
tomorrow.
So how many spell slots do you have right now?
6.
Yeah, so you can heal like the 6 physically injured people. And again, that's a great boon for their actual issues. And effectively after that, what Eku can do a lesser restoration on 3 of those people. So there's like 3 diseased people left in that northern tent. When you guys go back down to the southern tent, you'll see that there's another group of people who are. It's pretty much the same situation, and those are just 20. That was effectively 24 people who were like in the orange level of severely ill or injured, and then the 7 people who are. I feel like this camp is way too small for 58 people. Um, I think the 7 diseased people are going to be like quarantined into a few of those like tents that are behind everything. And Eku is able to do a greater restoration on one of those people to heal them. Um, so you guys can burn through a lot. You do a lot to help this area, but there's still a lot of people here. And while you guys are doing this little trip of their ill, the others are basically being um, it gets more and more like an interrogation the more power he assumes over you, to a point where eventually Breakbone is basically like um trying to like force an answer out of you, whether you are going to go on an expedition via water or whether he can commandeer your boats and send you on a foray out into the jungle and fight some of the undead that are rising up here.
And are we going to get like a chance to talk amongst ourselves somewhere tonight before giving him an answer, or we have to work this out right in front of him?
Well, I mean, this is what's going on while you're kind of traveling around seeing the ill. You guys have not gotten a respite from him at this point. Essentially, the 3 of you who stepped away with um, Sias are the only ones who have been out of his view.
Okay, while I'm out of his view, during the discussion with the cleric, I asked her if she has if there's drains in the stockade.
I am not a professional in the ways of sewage systems. And she's just gonna like lift up her foot in the mud and then squish it back down. But that does not seem like it is draining.
Which is one if the drain was clogged or wasn't made.
I treat the ill. I do not know how to do such things. And she's
Okay,
just gonna kind of
probably
like
means probably means it wasn't made.
Why don't you go investigate all that, Barney, and figure it out?
Okay, I'll start moving around to try to look for the low spot in the nearest to the wall, see if there's anything that looks like a drain at that point.
Or like a small door for critters to get in?
Yeah.
so at some point you're going to start to like get noticed by guards and they're going to come up to you and stop you. Oh, what are you doing and where have
Well,
you come from?
I'm with the group that had come from the other camp.
And
Um,
perhaps you should remain with them. Why are you
uh,
looking at our...
we're trying to figure out where your drain is and why it's clogged.
I am going to have to escort you back to Breakbone. I do not believe you have this permission.
Well, if you want to stand in mud, fine.
And they're going to escort you back to Breakbone. And once they get back, they'll kind of interrupt the conversation once it kind of has like a lull, and they're going to look to Commander Breakbone. Look, Commander, this one was wandering around the edges of the camp, looking over the palisade for weaknesses and places of egress. And then Breakbone's going to look to you.
I was looking for the drain so that we could get this water out of here. Or do you have one? I'm pretty aggressive about it.
Make an intimidation check.
Well, there's my check.
Whew.
I think
Angry
you
dwarf.
misunderstand the nature of our relationship. You can serve my orders, or you can find yourself in chains. Do you have a preference? Are you used to serving your graters?
Well, I'm prepared to serve, but prepared to serve with what I know. I know about drains.
And why does Barney know about drain?
It's useful. It's what he's trying to.
Because he lived in a cave.
That's kind of my point at this point, is like, why on earth is Barney a drain expert?
Yeah, because I lived in a cave, I guess.
So after Eku and I sort of sort out whatever we can sort out, which is less than half of the people getting healed, we jump back in this conversation in the tent.
I'm sure Barney meant nothing untoward. He's, as he said, he's hoping he can be useful. But perhaps it would be, perhaps we could be best of use by helping some of your men get back to the port. And Jarek will kind of try to, as he's saying this to Breakbone, he'll try to kind of sort of glance towards his companions to see if they, you know, try and kind of gauge their response to this.
Do you take responsibility for your insolent dwarf?
It
And he's
It
looking
is.
at Jarek.
It has been a long journey. We're all tired. I apologize. We apologize if there's been any um, disrespect. It was not our intention.
Your Cholton friend mentioned she had some tricks. Perhaps she can help with the evening's meal and water, if I am understanding her correctly. All of you can make your camp in the northeast section. There's a bit of high ground. In the morning, we will find out whether you are to be chained and imprisoned, or will learn to follow orders. Talk amongst yourselves and make your decision wisely. Thank you for healing some of my guards, because we will have increased guards on watch this evening until your decision is made.
Jarek will kind of give another formal nod at that. This time a little more deferential, maybe a bit of a deeper kind of head nod, trying to be um, a bit more politic now that they've kind of hoping to smooth things over.
So at this point, you guys have a solid understanding of what's going on in this place. and it's kind of like you guys are going to get your long rest here. It's up to you, like, to actually talk and make a decision. But on some level here, where you are facing with is he already mentioned there's a certain level of they can take your boats, and that helps them on some level. Um, but they want to send you out into battle against the undead or back to Nyanzaru. And then, of course, you have the option to try to negotiate something other than that. Um, but those are kind of the places where you guys are at. As far as like the drain goes again, Barney, part of my point is you can stay here and spend days creating a drain, but this place, like, why you're a drainage expert is up to you to decide, and I don't feel like a cave is a sufficient reason, because I don't think caves drain. But that's kind of the thing, like, there is no drain. You already know that this place is flooded. So looking around at the edge of the palisade makes you look suspicious, and you're not going to be healthy if you continue to do that. But on some level, that gives you all the idea of what decisions you kind of have to make here. So I feel like you have the rough understanding of what is going on in Camp Vengeance. And what would you like to do? Chat amongst yourselves.
I do want to ask Echo just one question. Like, our next stop, do we need the canoes to get there, or is it overland? Because I think the map is just the big map we're on. We didn't make notes on the other one.
If we essentially pulling out the map before you guys here, she'll kind of like point out to you all, if we are to make our way along land, we have 40 miles straight along that pathway. If we head into the Aldani Basin, we can travel a little bit easier along the river, but we have a 30-mile hike to get back up to, was it Omamu? No, that's the wrong name. Mambala. So basically what she ends up having information-wise is you essentially have almost like like an extra 60% of a path, like 60 miles to get to Mambala if you take the boats by water, or 40 miles if you go by land straight through the jungle. Neither of those has appeals over the other. Part of what you're going to come to terms with is straight through the jungle is difficult. Down the river is easy, but you're then in like a swampland of the Aldeni Basin.
And
Thank you.
Will your business in Mbala, were we to try to return to Port Nyanzaru with these men, will your business wait that long? It is an unexpected detour, after all.
I told you all from the start, if you made me a partner in your expedition, I would trust that we would treat with Mbala and that things would be taken care of.
We certainly intend to keep our word on that.
Then I neither require nor insist that we head directly there. If we can find a way, wonderful. But I don't know if I feel comfortable leaving so many ill when I can help so many. And she's going to say that, staring straight bullets right at Island.
Cool. And Island looks around. Are we now? What's my sense of how private our conversation is?
I mean, you guys are intense and it's raining.
Okay,
Well,
so
I'm going to whisper to Jarek, but I want to kill that motherfucker. I don't like the situation at all. But maybe we could just march off into the woods and go to Mimbala and leave them the boats.
You're talking about Breakbone?
Yeah, I get a bad vibe from that guy.
If
We should-
you kill Breakbone, I believe our mission together will be over.
We should.
Likely.
I understand he rubs you the wrong way, Island, as he does myself, but consider it from his point of view. He has a camp full of sick and diseased men in the middle of the jungle. If we can help them and perhaps earn some goodwill, and in any event, we must tread carefully.
No, I agree. And I helped a bunch of them, making our situation even more precarious. But I did it. But I don't think we can stay here very long.
How long before we hit that point where we manage to give him plenty of able bodies, but knowing that people will start getting sick almost immediately?
Well,
Tomorrow.
3 days, 5 days, or just 1 day?
with 67 people, the chances of getting ill every day, say it's like 1 in 20, you guys can basically heal enough to keep people from getting ill. But that's not helping anybody get healthy. And that's part of the problem, is they have 7 clerics who are essentially here expending everything, and they have the entire camp ill.
Yeah, we essentially be performing triage endlessly, because even if you cure them of disease, they could just get it again. It's not like you cure them and then they're healthy.
There's too many people here.
The question basically becomes: is there something we can do in that time that would change their precarious position? And if not, I should give them the boats and leave.
I mean, I think the best thing we can do is, this is Jarek, get some of their men back to the port, speak with the order in the port, let them know of the uh, precarious position of the fort, and see what they want to do.
Can Echo fly back there and give that message while we stay and heal for a couple days? Hate to get back in a boat for 2 weeks back to Port Nyanzaru. We lost 2 people already.
I fear that if we do that, this place will meet the same fate as the previous camp.
If we send Echo back to
No, if
port?
we leave for 2 weeks to deliver that message.
Yeah, it's like a month. It's 2 weeks there and 2 weeks back, or a week there and a week back. I guess it's taking us a week to get here, so it's 2 weeks total. Yeah, I'm not sure this is our problem a little bit too.
Well, I believe they made it our problem.
Gives us a certain latitude, right?
How about if we help them heal and recover enough people that they can go back to Port Nyanzaru themselves, and then we, by land, go searching either for Vorn or go to Mbala and hunt some undead on the way there too to help them.
You have spoken wisely. Your patron says that she needs all haste. It is dangerous for us to return. If you can negotiate a way, that may be the best of possibilities for us all. We can use what resources we have, try to heal enough, sell, or, as he already feels he has commanded our expedition, give our boats to them. perhaps we will be able to find a way to separate ourselves from them. But I believe you are wise to understand that we need to separate ourselves.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I'm
think
for the
so. These guys are pretty paranoid.
I'm for the 40-mile trek over the grounds, leaving the boats. Good luck to them. First thing tomorrow morning at dawn.
I do not believe we are going to be able to leave.
Yeah, I didn't get the feeling that Commander would let us go anytime soon.
So we get outside the gates by taking the hunting party option, leaving the boats, and head out as soon as they let us out of the gates. What do you think about that?
Don't like to be chased through the jungle, but maybe they don't have the people to do that.
Let me get an insight check from all of you all. Ooh, I don't know if I've ever done a group insight check before. You all are prisoners. You are not guests. That conversation with Barney turned you into prisoners.
I think Taryn and Eku may have the right of it.
Well, I mean, I think going out and fighting the undead, Island just doesn't want to go back to Port Nyanzaru. I just don't want to do it. It's a miserable week getting here, people dying. Seems like a terrible idea to me.
Yeah, and I think letting
The advantage to returning ourselves is that we will be in service and gain the aid of the Order of the Gauntlet. And while we will expend time returning to Nyanzaru, we will all return the stronger, with greater allies, and come back with a large party of the Order of the Gauntlet. Fresh resources, fresh expedition.
Well, that was convincing.
I feel we may not have known exactly what we were getting into when we first set out, but I understand that if you may not be looking forward to a return trip.
As well, if we are without our boats after Mambala, what will be the plan?
I would say rafts would be the logical, since it's downriver from here.
Are you a big raft builder from your cave experience?
Yeah,
I'll tell you right now, I have no clue how to build a proper raft. I mean, we could probably cut down some trees and try to tie them together, but I think that's about it. Don't know how
I could,
sturdy that would be.
well, I
I
think
could,
that's raft building 101.
I have some small skill, could probably put something simple enough together. But if we can negotiate a way to keep some of the boats, that might be better. I feel we need to make ourselves useful in some sense before we find ourselves in an even more precarious position.
We just healed like 9 people. We're helping. We fed everybody dinner too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gave us some clean water too.
We've been, other than Barney being like kind of grumpy, we've produced. so far for them today. So what do you guys want to do? Like, we're in this delicate situation. Island is, pragmatic, if nothing else. You guys want to go back to Port Nyanzaru in the boats take their 7 people with us?
I'm just questioning how much. I mean, Syndra has managed to survive this far, but she looked pretty rough. Not sure how much time exactly we do have left for her.
And Taryn, your idea was to try and heal some of them up so they're, so they can give them some boats, head to Port Nyanzaru themselves, and we head out back into the jungle.
Yeah, that was my suggestion at least.
Who's carrying the jug?
Oh, that's Taran. He had it in his backpack still, I think.
I think by now you would start to gain a sensation of what that jug is, because it's magical.
Oh. Lovely.
So you guys can continue your conversation shortly here. I'll have you reload your character sheet because I'm about to add that.
Yeah, what is the jug? I don't recall us. I mean, maybe I wasn't here that day.
Oh, that was the jug we got from the top of the Crocodile and Man temple. We finally made it up the stairs, and yeah, that was the day you weren't here.
Great. Maybe it's a potion of curing an entire camp. Being
It is not, but you should be able to reload your character sheet and see what it is, Taryn.
lawfully annoying.
Basically, just like sitting around as you all are talking, you're just going to kind of gain a sensation of like the magical feel at your back. Starting to get a sensation for the item. You start to realize that you can wish for it to fill itself.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Like a cask of refilling water or something?
I mean,
A mug
you
of
do that.
Alchemy jug?
Yeah, exactly.
It is, yeah. Most famous
Mayonnaise for days.
2 gallons of mayo.
Oh my god, 2 gallons of mayo. Yeah, okay.
Can you imagine how bad that would turn, like in the heat and the humidity of the jungle?
You just have to eat it every morning, the whole thing.
Is that what it? Its only power, or I'm not really familiar with it.
I think you can make like ale, water, mayonnaise. I think there's a couple other sort of liquids that can essentially fill itself with a certain amount each day.
Yeah, like acid, basic poison, beer, honey, mayonnaise, oil, vinegar, fresh water, salt water, and wine.
And the one that we have is the mayonnaise one?
You can pick. He gets the pick.
Oh, awesome. So that seems like a thing that we could trade them.
Well, it's not going to go too far among 60 whatever people.
Yeah, but more or less.
I think it's better that we hang on to that.
Yeah, probably is. But the very fact that we have a vat of acid is a surprise weapon now, or oil, whatever you choose.
We're not planning to fight our way out of this camp. So that's not what you're suggesting, is it?
No, just making sure that we have something to fall back on if we reach the point where we have no choice.
Well, Jarek's going to kind of reiterate his thought is head back towards the port with the some of the injured order people, but he also thinks that Taryn's idea has merit.
Well, the chaotic part hates this idea, but the good part is fine, and the group member is happy to do what the group wants to do. That's Island's response. So what's the plan, Jack? We get up in the morning, we say, okay, we'll take your people back to the city and bring you back resources and reinforcements.
So, like Taryn and Barney, what are kind of your final thoughts here?
Well, I'm sticking to my suggestion. But if you guys don't want to do that, I'll follow along. So
Well, I think I sort of pitched that we heal some of them up so they can take themselves back to the city. And we got no response. Like we heard, oh, they're too sick for that. So I like that idea. I'm not 100% sure that they said no to that idea, but I think that's what we heard. Does anyone else have a read on that?
I don't think we raised it with them or with Breakbone, Commander Breakbone yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, if we can heal them and send them, great. But I can't go out in the woods with you and fight the undead if we heal them and then go fight because we won't have any healing. We'll all get killed. I care more about you guys than I do about them.
Almost as if that's how they got in this situation at the start.
So we could offer to get them healthy enough to take their own expedition in our boats. We could make our own expedition with them in our boats. Those are the two options that sounds like we mostly like. Anything else?
Yeah, I think it's basically between those two right now.
Zach, will bail on us if we do anything self-centered here, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, killing Commander.
No, you were talking
Breakbone.
about murdering Breakbone. You said you wanted to kill him.
I hate that
She
guy.
reminded you, if you do that, she is gone from the party. That is an evil act.
yeah, we already agreed that we wouldn't kill people unless they gave us absolutely no other choice.
Like if they imprisoned us and forced us to labor for them, that's not good enough reason.
I mean,
got it.
We could still escape some way. I mean, I think it's more like if they have like a blade out of throat about to cut it, we can defend ourselves.
Chris, I just posted a quick conversion from standard to liquid metric. So you might have a semblance of how much all of that shit is.
Perfect.
Yeah, 8 gallons of water is heavy.
Yeah, what, like, I think it's
64
7 pounds
pounds.
per water. Yeah.
It's a little more. Now think about it. I've just rounded up to 8 myself, but yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
to carry.
between 8 and 10 pounds per gallon.
I can't carry it, that's for sure.
But yeah, that's one of those things too. Like when you summon the water, that's one of those things where it can be to actually like dump it. That's part of why the mayo is so insane. Like, what are you gonna do with all of that mayonnaise? And I don't think it's a 12-gallon container. So I feel like when you summon it, you would almost have to like be dumping out like the salt water. Um, but yeah, I don't think it really like gives a clear size to the container to
Yeah,
know
no,
how much it.
yes. Yeah, sorry.
I think it like kind of essentially refills itself until you've used up all of the amount. Like if it's a small, if it can hold so many gallons, it can produce so many gallons a day, then essentially you can, it fills up. You use it, and then it fills up
Mayonnaise.
again.
Put mayo in your sandwich. Still looks full.
It basically says, let's see, you can use pour the liquid out. I can pour up to 2 gallons per minute, and the maximum amount of liquid is dependent on what I've said, and it always weighs 12 pounds no matter what, apparently.
Yeah, so if you do like the 12 gallons, it probably has approximately a 2 gallon size to the jug. And when you do the ones that are bigger than that, it's like you can pour it over that minute.
How much wine would it take to? I mean, are we even in the ballpark to be able to produce enough wine to just kind of have a major party and essentially take down their defenses?
I mean, I can produce a gallon of wine if we want to.
Just Alan, or are you allowed to continue to pour?
No, that's the max amount, and then I have to wait
Okay,
until the next dawn till I can do anything else.
okay, so gallon.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think we're gonna have. It's not enough to like do it for the whole camp.
No,
But you guys, I think you guys have a
break
solid
bone.
grasp. You've got the two things that they're asking, or you guys can negotiate a third. See if you are successfully able to negotiate it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm thinking
Do
now
we have any impression that this guy wants anything more than just for the people here, or is it something specific that he gains from this, but nobody else does?
Um, Anybody with history can do a history check here. But I think in the long run, this is probably an answer most people just kind of know. Yeah, it looks like it's just Island. The Order of the Gauntlet is a really, really good organization. They take care of ill people, people in need. This is just a group of them who are in a shit show. They are fucked right now, and they need help. This guy doesn't really have any level of like bedside manner. He's fucked. He knows it, and he knows that you all can help. And he's commandeering your expedition because it's for the better. And that's kind of where you guys are stuck, is that this guy is using you for the greater good. And when you guys tried to explain your expedition's purpose, it didn't have one that even registered on his map of things that are important.
So we could try and negotiate and see if they'll go with Taryn's idea that we can try and get some of them healthy enough, maybe over like a day or two, so we don't, you know. But again, I'm afraid if the longer we stay here, the more difficult it's going to be for us to leave. Um, we could say that we will, we can start with them, back towards Port Nyanzaru, and then maybe if we can get them healthy over a few days, and then kind of keep them going on their way. So essentially, we provide them an escort for a few days, get them try and get them a little healthy, and then let them continue with a couple of the boats. And then at that point, we're not backtracking all the way to Port Nyanzaru, but we sort of, go with them, and as long as we think they need it, until we think they have a good chance of making it on their own.
I think you all require 2 boats for your expedition. So you could get rid of 3.
Yeah, and he wants to send 7, if I recall. So that'd be
2 boats.
Well, he in particular had 7 people who need, like, that expedition is he wants you to take 7 people back to Nyanzaru.
And 1 captain.
Yeah. Because he has basically precious documents to send with them to get more Order of the Gauntlet sent out here.
I also think he's not going to trust us, right? Like, I think the question will be like, why should I trust you? So,
well, he's the one who asked us if we would do that. So he's the one who brought that up.
I mean, he's not broken trust because we're prisoners. So,
well, that's because Barney was sneaking around near the edge of the palisade.
Yeah, he just met you guys, and Barney was looking for drainage on his palisade. It looks like a I can't think of what they are in World War I, in trench warfare, where you have
sapper.
a guy like, yeah, sapper. He looked like a sapper.
Yeah, and I'm undead too.
What? You're undead?
I'm just being
But my point
thought I missed a lot.
is that intimidation check, when he rolled a 20, that's about like the worst possible thing you could have done there. Because he's a commander of legions. He's not the type of person to fold underneath. So by you being super assertive and crushing the check, you made yourself a threat to his authority. And basically it's 2 unstoppable forces come in collision. What happens? And he's like, yeah, there's no longer any choice. You guys are essentially already under arrest. You're just not in chains yet. But he has 58 people. I feel like I might have left this out, but we've kind of narrated over like a fast forward button over some of that stuff. So among the conversation while they were going around the healers, part of what he's looking to in commandeering your boats, if he can take your boats, is that he needs enough boats for 58 people to leave Vengeance. That's part of his failsafe, is that he needs a way to actually escape this place, which they no longer have. So I think if you guys could get rid of 3, he would have his 7, and you guys would have 2. And offhand, 7 times 6 is a little bit under 58. So 42. Yeah, so I think he realistically almost wants all 5 of your boats, and you guys would know that he's pretty much looking for canoes to get 58 people into them.
Suppose we can go kill some goblins and get some more canoes.
yeah, that's a possibility, or maybe try our catamaran idea. Increase the occupancy of 2 boats.
How about if we lend them our boats so that when they come back, if they come back, I don't know, we could get them back. So at the meantime, we would investigate like around Campanians, towards Mambala, towards Bourne, things like that. If that's a good idea.
I like that idea because it doesn't make us go back to the city. So you're saying, like, let's just suggest, okay, you take the boats. We'll meet you back here in 2 weeks. We have something to do in the woods. We'll go do that. Promise we'll kill some undead on the way. And we'll meet you back here.
Yeah, basically. But I still think we should try to help some people in the camp too. Like get as many people up and about as we can.
I agree with that, up to like not putting ourselves into huge amounts of danger.
See, Yarick was it you who had the elixir of health too? I'm not sure if you want to use that to help, but that could, because that could cure diseases, right?
But I think it's a one use. So I don't think it makes sense to use it on one person who could then get sick again the next day. Again, we're just going to be continuously using all of our resources every day, and it's not going to be enough.
I was thinking like one of those who were really sick, like people who needed like great restoration.
But
Get
again,
one
it
of
could
those.
heal him, and then he could fall ill at the next day because they don't have any insect repellent.
Yeah, I think that's like a lesser restoration.
Okay. Well, I'm not
But
sure about you guys, but I could sacrifice my insect repellent. That's some, at least.
But again, even if we give them everything we have, it's after a couple days, it's all gone, and then what?
I was thinking for those who went by boat, maybe, so they could stay healthy towards Port Nyanzaru.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah.
Oh, so we
I thought you meant
sweeten.
the whole camp.
So we sweeten the deal. We say like, okay, here's 20 insect repellent doses and 5 boats, and we'll meet you back here in 2 weeks.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, gotcha. That's progress in a good direction, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, and from his standpoint, he's just abandoning us here, so that kind of solves both of his problems.
Wait, but if we give them say 20, that's not enough for their whole group to go.
No,
Unless
it's
they
just
agree
enough
to
for
that.
it's enough for the expedition to Port Nyanzaru to go
That's
and
what
come back.
yeah. So that's what I'm kind of thinking. Like we say, okay, we'll take some, the 7, and we'll, try and get them healthy and give them some supplies, and then once they're, healthy enough, send them on their way to Port Nyanzaru. And then at that point, we can, we've backtracked a little bit, but we haven't gone all the way back. And then we can kind of, if they'll agree to that, and then we'll, kind of go on our way.
Jarek, I'm all for you charging ahead. Does everybody entrust Jarek with this negotiation?
Well, yeah, I trust Garrick with the negotiations. It's definitely.
Are you our most persuasive person on a you think, Jarek? Or is it just natural leadership talent?
I mean, I think I have a good idea. I tend to be rather kind of plain spoken, and I'm not like all that silver tongued. But I think if this is a good idea, and if we present it to them, then they might be persuaded by it. That it's a kind of a win-win.
if I recall, I don't think any of your party is especially persuasive. I don't think anybody is especially charismatic.
No, we
The
had one.
only
He's dead.
We had a beautiful bard who got consumed by some flowers.
I have proficiency in persuasion, but I have a
yeah,
+0 charisma score. So I don't think I'm the right guy. I think Jarek's the right guy.
yeah, I have the skill, but I've already failed so miserably that there's no chance in hell he'd believe my arguments.
I mean, I'm willing to give it a shot. So
All right, are we gonna like sleep without posting our own guard and just trust these people, or
I feel like make them spend the endurance to keep an eye on us instead.
I mean, I don't think we have anything to fear from the people in this camp when it comes to bodily harm or things like that.
Though you, as you said, in this camp, what
Yeah.
could come over those walls. I think we ought to post our own watch. 'Cause they're not going to give a damn if something comes and attacks our tent.
I'm pretty sure if something comes and attacks our camp, it's already gone through the walls, and I think we should be woken up by the ruckus of that.
I don't see any harm to just having, kind of keeping a soft watch, like having somebody kind of up in the tent, just take a rotation.
Seems wise.
All right, sure. I can take first watch if.
Yeah, y'all got 4 of you, so can do 2 watches each.
Jarrett can take the second watch.
So I figure you probably spent at least like what feels like probably 2 hours, um, with like actually sitting down to eat, talk, chat over the alchemy jug, maybe share some mayo between yourselves, that kind of thing. So it's at least 10 o'clock. Are you guys going to bed like right away? Or are you looking to wake up with dawn? What are you thinking when you're going to bed?
Up with dawn.
Yeah, I think once we kind of decide we have this plan, or at least ideas for a plan, then it would be wise to get to bed soon after that.
I'll take the third watch so I can check out the moon.
I'll go ahead and bring up the rear.
So yeah, let me get Taryn do some perception. Some pretty crazy rain. Other than the rhythm of the rain overhead, there's not much going on. The camp itself seems pretty quiet. The guards seem pretty quiet. And then who is taking second? Is that Jack?
Jarrett.
Do some perceptions for me. Rain will calm down a little bit. About halfway through your watch, you hear some noise. Do a insight for me. Actually, fuck it. You rolled a 20 for your perception. You actively hear some of the guards basically chatting to each other as they are doing a changing of the guards. You can pretty well figure out that's midnight.
Okay. Yeah. So Jarrett probably wouldn't leave the tent. He would just he would listen to see, but he would, thinking it's just likely kind of a changing of the guard. So he would kind of try and keep an ear out, but he wouldn't overly get his guard up.
Oh, yeah, my bad. On some level, I assumed you guys are staying up, but inside of your tent. I was definitely thinking otherwise. But yeah, you're welcome to be inside or outside of your tent as well, like with an actual view.
Oh yeah, I was thinking like kind of I wasn't standing guard outside, just we were staying in the tent, but having one of us kind of up for each of the 2 hours.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's where I was thinking too. Like it was an extra alarm in case shit hit the fan. But after your watch, you can get Island up. The actual weather during your watch is going to get a little bit worse. It's a pretty bad storm here. You are approaching a new moon, so you're seeing maybe at best like a few moments where you can glimpse Saloon above. But in general, it's pretty well overcast and there's not much for you to spot. As far as your watch goes, there's not really anything especially interesting happening. It seems pretty silent other than the rain.
Cool. I'm gonna wake Barney up.
And Barney, a couple of perceptions from you.
Barney, trying not to
Okey
piss
doke.
anybody off. Okay.
Yeah.
Just teasing you. I'll go to bed.
Okay. As usual, mediocre rolling.
There's a little bit of a commotion for maybe a few minutes, but gets like a little bit of your attention from waning to like, oh, there's something happening, and you already like don't hear anything. So you have like a semblance of maybe something went down at some point during your watch, but it's just a really awkward time for where your watch or your attention kind of waned for a moment, that you kind of lost that attention, heard something, and was almost gone. But otherwise, you start to see the first signs of dawn, and it's otherwise pretty much time to start to wake people up. Everybody can take a long rest. You can obviously reset your spells for Island. You know, on some level, lesser restoration will be one of those things that will give you all increased bargaining chips. And that's kind of where we're going to end up picking up here. I feel like this is a solid time for us to take an actual break, and then we'll kind of rejoin that idea here.
Yep. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm back.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, it's been a rough, rough game.
I feel like the only reason Larry wanted to go to this place was like a throwback to one of his previous characters. This whole time it was just like, you guys don't even know that the Order of the Gauntlet on this peninsula has just been a sign of how a huge industry or like a huge organization can just fail catastrophically. Like, go to Righteous, put up no like protective barriers, nearly get wiped out. I feel like something like something stupid like 13 people I think lived from Righteous and made it to Vengeance.
Yeah, they seem like they're a bit out of their element.
Like, but life is so easy on the Sword Coast. How could we find trouble in the jungle? Bam. Chalk just said hello.
Yeah, I get the sense that they're like, they're overconfident in their own abilities, and they're like, anything this jungle throws at us, we can handle. And it's like, maybe not.
I'm sure the sum doesn't matter.
Nope, 19 new people got sick in the night.
Looks like we've
And
had one or two deaths.
And we picked up 10 or 12 yesterday, right? So we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
So Mara, this guy is like super lawful cleric, really bad bedside manner, but doing the right thing. Like that's kind of obvious to us.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the Order of the Gauntlet is. Like, he wouldn't be a commander of the Order of the Gauntlet if he wasn't a good person.
I feel like I almost think of him as like a there's a natural disaster, and then like the army moves in and they declare martial law, and they start, they declare a curfew and they don't let people move around, but they're trying to do it for the right reasons. I'm thinking of the guy he's like.
Yeah, I kind of see that as well.
And that's why I use that particular language. Is this is a military emergency? I need to commandeer your expedition and your boats. Because yeah, it's effectively this is FEMA. Like throw in the National Guard. We need what you can do. And like as far as meta knowledge goes, about the only way you guys were going to have a positive result once you rolled the one, which is that he was the commander, basically awake at that point. Once you rolled that one and you got him, you pretty much in that question, like when he held out his hand for your orders on the expedition, you had to like basically reference one of the merchant princes out of Nyanzaru. That might have been the only thing at that point that he would have actually looked at it and been like, a merchant prince sent you. Okay. And he would have to like rethink things. But no, he's not like a bad person, but he's definitely like an asshole. He's like a very straightforward kind of military.
Yeah, and kind of while Jarek was on watch, he was thinking about kind of the conversation he's going to have the next day, and he's thinking, okay, maybe if we tell them that our mission is for one of these princes, and we say that if he lets us, essentially, we'll do what we can to help his men get, make sure they're on a good course to Port Nyanzaru, but then if he'll let us continue with our mission, that will, um, that will, and then we can speak with the merchant prince, who's our, who is essentially our one of our patrons, and then maybe that will we be able to convince him to also provide some aid for the order.
Like Wakanga is gonna do so. Wakanga is gonna do something for him.
I mean, he's super wealthy, right? So he can supply boats, maybe, or like if we tell the patron that, like, oh, the Order of the Gauntlet, like, they allowed us to continue on our mission, then and then say, and they're in a tough spot and we'd like to help them, then maybe Wakanga will can provide some aid to the Gauntlet, and that also might help convince the Order that to let us continue on our own mission.
Is Chris here right now? I see you pushing your button. I didn't hear you. And it didn't help that I just grabbed my headphones, so I still didn't hear you. And you
Yeah,
might
I'm
have
not
Yeah.
hearing.
Yeah, I'm here. If, in case
that
you
was
didn't
no. The second time it was like right as I picked up my earbud to say he's pressing the button. He's at his computer. So yeah, well, I mean, we might as well jump into it. You guys can take your long rest if you didn't already do it. And we'll basically start off with that idea. Let me get an intelligence from you, Jarek. You know that bringing up the merchant princes, Wakangu, all of these things can help you, as well as you guys haven't brought up the death curse yet, and these are a group of holy warriors who are out here to fight the undead. The death curse is an undead curse. Bring it up.
Yeah, I
You
think
guys are
probably
on the same size.
my circumspection in the initial meeting did not end up that kind of ended up being a detriment, not a help.
And I mean, that's a continual thing. When you all meet NPCs, you do have to make a quick decision. What do we hide? What do we tell them? And this was one of those things where, without a purpose, it's easy to say, I'm taking over your expedition. But when you guys lay down to rest, I mean, obviously, if you can bring it, like if you're thinking it, this is where you recognize, no, we're going to be safer and it's going to be easier for us to maintain our autonomy if we actually let them know our true purpose here.
Right. Okay. So yeah, like the next morning after they're all up, Jarek would head out of the tent and kind of look for the nearest guard to let them know that he'd like to speak with Commander Breakbone when he's available.
Yeah, so when you all see this camp in the first light, you're going to immediately notice that again, there's these considerable puddles throughout this camp. The latrines are almost swamped in that northwestern corner. You'll actively see people who are basically leaned over the actual palisade and going to the bathroom over the palisade. People don't use the latrines at this point. It's safer and healthier for this camp to go outside. Um, you're going to see. Let me get perception checks from everybody. If you would like to make yours as a medicine, Aelin, you can use your medicine modifier instead of that roll, depending on which is the higher. If anybody else has medicine, no. So is it +1? No, it's the same. Yeah, so the 11. Yeah, I think looking around, Island and Jarek are going to pick up that. Wait a second. That was the intelligence. Oh, let me get a perception from you, Barney. So Island and Taryn are going to pick up, and Taryn is really going to see like everything. Most of the people who are standing guard, Barney's in the boat with Taryn on this. Most of the people who are standing guard are ill. Most of them are like working sick because they don't have an option not to be on guard. And that's one of those things that gives you a tell about how dire this place actually is. The two of you who hit over like 15, I think you're going to see of 10 specifically on the posts. So, say you see probably like 20 people just kind of like waking up and stepping out of your tents. Of those 20 people, you're going to see maybe two of these people, about 10%, actually look healthy. Like they're moving around and they're doing all right. Everybody else looks to be suffering from an illness. Most of them are able to remain standing. And Barney, having gone into the hospital, at least the northern hospital tent the night before, gives you a little bit more perspective of like the people who are actually in the hospital tents are the ones who are basically ill despite their orders. And having met Breakbone, you have a pretty solid understanding that most of these people are listening to their orders longer than they should be. But other than that, as you guys actually like gather up and you eventually pull somebody aside, you can basically gain the attendance of Breakbone, and eventually have basically head back into the tent with them. Like, we don't actually have to have you all inside of the tent, but back inside of the tent, you'll see he has both of his captains are awake at this point. And he'll, well, with a fresh night's sleep, have you all a better understanding of where things are in the world?
Yes, we've discussed things, and I want to start by apologizing for my reticence last night. I feel I owe you a more thorough explanation of our reasons for being out here. Our the patron I spoke of, Wakanga, one of the merchant princes, has tasked us with investigating the the death curse in the area. Um, my natural reticence prevented me from informing you fully, but having given it some thought over the night, I feel I can trust you with that information.
You're here. I guess realistically, the moment you kind of like go through that little where you say, um, it was at the start of it. It was a keyword. I feel like you basically said like your orders or your reason for the expedition. He's gonna again kind of reach out his hand, kind of looking for like a piece of paper that's like your actual orders. So you don't necessarily have to respond to that. But he's basically has his left hand outstretched, like ready to take a scroll from you. You mentioned Watamu Kanga. You're here on his orders. What is this death curse you speak of?
It is an affliction that it affects some of the people in the area. It may be responsible, or at least our patron believes may be uh, somewhat responsible for the some of the undead. It is those who uh, those who fall. This curse seems to have some sort of effect on attempts to restore them to life. Uh, and I'll look towards the others to see if they can kind of more fully explain, like Island maybe, or
Sure. I mean, what we understand is that those who have died and been resurrected are no longer fully alive. There's a curse that's slowly eating away at those in that state. I'm sure you've resurrected plenty of folks. Breakbone, they're no
He's
longer
going
safe.
to look to one of the captains inside to his right. Turn. Is this? And you'll see that she's already kind of like looking through a little bit of paperwork by the time he already like kind of references to her. Just like many of our most critically injured have been resurrected in the past. This may be the cause of these things. And then he'll kind of look back over to you all. We in particular do not have an understanding of this. But we can also understand that perhaps there are missions of great importance to be accomplished. What are your duties moving forward?
our patron believes there may be information that will be useful in finding some cure or end to this curse in the jungle. And that is what he has tasked us with recovering.
And so the most importance that we do it quickly as well. Haste is critical here, as it we didn't know, but now we do know that it's also important. We do this quickly just for your members of people in your own camp, because this curse can't be healed by any traditional method that we're aware of.
We all find ourselves at a critical crossroad. We shall have to review what the next steps should be for us all. Where were you planning to go after you left Vengeance?
We have to be in Mambala as quickly as possible, which we understand is 40 miles overland from here.
Peaks of Mambala are in ruins. I not believe anybody resides there any longer.
There's a construct that once belonged to a wizard that is, I believe, is in that area, perhaps a bit to the northwest of it. That is what we are seeking, and that is what our patron believes, that there may be some uh, information that this construct has that could be useful in ending the curse.
The information about how we can unlock the construct, I believe, is in Mambala.
I feel like make deception checks.
Yeah, I didn't think Mbala was where we. Yeah, that was like that's Eku's goal, but like Jarek is not trying to be deceptive.
Neither is Island. He just thinks this is what we're doing. So if we're wrong, we're wrong. But
So then we need to clarify. What are you guys trying to get here? Is Jarek bringing up a second mission of yours as to what you're trying to accomplish? Because if you have your map in hand, you can understand that going towards Mumbala is going away from Vorn. You're somewhat at a point where heading to the northwest is the way to go to Vorn. Moving any further in pretty much any direction, you're going away from Vorn at this point.
I've been under the understanding that we were headed to Mambala because Echo needed us to go there, but we also need to find Vorn's control amulet, which is
That's
not
what
where
Eku was
Vorn
saying
is.
last night, though. Eku insisted that we go straight to Mambala if you guys hire her as a guide. Once you made her a partner, she just wants you to go to Mambala at some point. And she is not particular when it happens. She just needs you to go there with her at some point.
Yeah, so I think our initial idea was head to Mbala and then from there go up to Vorn. But now I think, given like the urgency and kind of the situation has changed, and knowing that we don't have to go to Mbala first, we go look for Vorn, and presumably this could be something we would have discussed kind of over the journey. Um, we kind of, we still want to get to Mbala, but that's not part of the mission with Vorn.
Yeah, so it looks like you're kind of equidistant from Vorn or Mbala, and between the two of them is probably about 50 miles.
Yeah, so I think like the idea was like we stop at Camp Vengeance and then we head towards Mbala, but obviously now that we've actually been to Camp Vengeance to see what's going on here, that would alter our plans. And I think they'll, if we tell them like we're going to, um, try and find Vorn because we think that's where some information that might be helpful in ending the death curse is, they'll be more likely to essentially let us continue with that mission because we don't really have a real good sense of what we're going to Mbala for, I feel like we've agreed that we'll go with Eku to it, but we haven't learned too much about what that's actually um, regarding.
You are finished with your boats. I am in great need of them. And while we have many resources, we lack in resources that are most useful for the jungle and our current situation.
Do you think you have men well enough to make the journey back to the port if we uh, lend you the boats we brought. We could potentially, um, given that our own objective is to the north, we had discussed potentially uh, traveling with some of your men for a day or two so that we can try to lend them what aid we can, give them a better chance of making it to the port before we take our leave and um, continue on our own mission.
Do you wear a holy symbol of Lathander?
Um, he'd probably maybe have some sort of like thing around his neck, but it wouldn't be visible. Like it's kind of he'd like maybe wear like a little pendant under his shirt or something, but he doesn't like advertise his faith like loudly or anything. He doesn't have any symbols on his outer clothing or anything.
Gotcha. You would lend your boats to us for
As long as you need them. Um,
2 weeks.
but should I was only thinking that should should you be in a position at some future point where you no longer had need of them, we might be able to request the use of them back. But um, I did not intend to say that we need them back at any particular time.
Are you
So
showing
our
him the map
mission,
where you are you showing the map where you guys have Vorn marked on that? Or do you think that was a conversation that was kind of out of left field because we did the planning and then you brought up Vorn? I don't know if that was thought of at all, but are you showing him the map where you have Vorn marked down?
I think Island has the map.
Yeah, I don't think we pulled our map out. I think we're just talking. I said we think it's 40 miles west inland from here. I described it. I didn't show him.
If you have to travel into the jungle and you are willing to release the boats to our care, I will accept. I have great need to send an expedition back to Nyanzaru. You don't have to send your boats, but if you return before my party returns, it would leave us in a precarious situation for you to take your boats back. You are a small expedition. Can I buy 3 of your boats?
I would have no objection to that. No.
Understanding that you have found 2 of them at Camp Righteous. I will give you 120 gold for your 3 boats. You can take coin, you can take gems, and he'll pull out just like a large ruby. It's almost like the size of like his thumb. Or you can take a voucher of the Order of the Gauntlet. A little more dangerous to carry, but in all of the civilized world, is worth its weight in gold.
I kind of nudged Jarek to indicate we probably want the voucher. Favor tomorrow is better than the gold today.
Jarek's waiting to see if Island or Terran kind of similarly have any thoughts or responds.
Yeah, I'll nod that we could do the voucher. I'm curious why it's more dangerous to carry, so I kind of like give you a look of not quite understanding what he's saying.
It's parchment. If it catches on fire, you guys don't have any way to claim your money.
Okay, understood. I thought maybe it was a faction thing. Well, we have a map case, and
Yeah, that's the point. You basically can't fuck up a ruby. It's small. You just have to trade it. Gold weighs a lot. And the voucher, you just have to find the Order of the Gauntlet before it's worth anything and make sure it doesn't get destroyed in the meantime.
Yeah, it's like I think of it like a bearer bond.
Yeah, exactly.
we'll put it with our Zentarum document in the map case. They could live together. I'll wax it up, keep it dry.
I think the voucher should be sufficient.
My camp is still in great need of any healers that can remain behind. Can you give us days? My bad. I saw somebody light up, but I didn't see who.
I was trying to chime in that, yeah, we probably could have days for him to get some healing, but he needs to take care of the drain. This is built a bowl in a rainy spot. It's going to fill up.
I think we can spare just to stay just the one more day before we have to head out. So, how about we do what we can for you today? Get your party that's going to return to Port Nyanzaru healthy, and then we'll come back on our way back through.
Jarek's going to kind of glance towards Eku to see if he can sense whether she has thoughts on sort of staying or I guess if she intends to keep guiding us or if she thinks she wants to stay here to help the people in camp. If I assumed she was in the tent with us, but if not, then disregard.
I would be inclined to stay behind and heal those who I am capable of. I understand if we make the decision to spend a day trying to help and hope to prepare those at hand. But I agreed to join you. And she's gonna look over at Island with like a little bit of like a like eye to him. But as long as we are a group, and she'll look back to Jarek, I will remain with you. If we give them a day, we can help who we can help. And tomorrow we will set off on our way.
So Jarek he'll nod. He'll turn back towards Commander Breakbone. We can give you a day and do what we can here in camp to yes, do what we can, and perhaps as best we can prepare the men of yours who are intending to head back to port to give them better odds.
How many spell slots do you got for cure wounds and or lesser restorations?
2 lesser restorations, 4 cure wounds. And then I can shovel along that trench to drain the latrines with Barney.
Let me get an intelligence roll from the two of you.
Island and Barney, or sorry, who?
Yeah.
Would survival throw into this?
No, you're going intelligence. Survival is more tracking.
I figure my archaeologist has some architectural sense at this point.
I feel like you and I have different understandings of what the archaeologist is, but if you think you are a specialist in ancient homes, seems like you understand ancient homes that had sewer linings. You guys feel pretty successful. You're gonna notice that part of the problem of this place on a clearer day is that there's corpses everywhere outside of this camp. Pretty much where they've cleared the forest, there's bodies and they're rotting. Some of them you're going to spot signs that they cleaned some meat off of, and then left what they didn't need just there. Much of it is undead, some of it's dinosaurs. There's just a blend of it, and this place is surrounded by death. You'll be successful being able to set up a bit of a drainage system, but you recognize that it takes pretty much that entire day to construct, and that's probably only a small fraction of vengeance. If you guys want to complete this idea, you probably have about 4 more days of work ahead of you.
Well, my thought is these people die if we don't do something for them. Now that we have the field of corpses to deal with, that increases the amount of work. But it's work that has to be done. Either dump them in the river and let the water take them away, or get them buried.
Yeah, or maybe pile them up and burn them.
Or
They
pile
were-
them up and burn them. And we'd need as many able hands to work on this as possible. Captain or the leader needs to understand that.
Feel like our efforts may be better used elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm still for doing a day. Let's tell them what we learned.
Yeah,
What we think the
telling
next
them what we
steps are.
learned is absolutely imperative. But at least we got somewhat of a drain built. But they're going to have to take care of those corpses. Even if it's just going out and setting a few on fire every day. The oil, the alchemy jug, does it produce oil, and how much?
Let's see. Oil, it does. Quart, what's that in?
I think that's a liter.
Yeah, like 9 liters. Yeah.
9 liters.
I think that's a 0.9 liter.
Oh, yeah, like 0.9. Sorry.
Okay.
Maybe it might also be tough to keep like a big fire going when it's like if it's like going to be raining all the time.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking the oil would solve our problems, but not enough of it to make a difference.
We've helped a lot, and we've done our end of the bargain. I think we can charge into the jungle.
Yeah, I think so. And we just let him know what he has to do to save these people.
All right, so let me get a perception check from Taryn and Jarek. I'm going to have you two battle a guest. So you guys are going to see, really, Taryn's going to pick it up as they are kind of moving through the shitstorm. You're going to see as an ogre. Oops. Oh, I had you guys on a completely different map than I expected. An ogre is going to come out of the forest and start to approach the camp. And let me have the two of you roll initiative.
Do you want us to drag our tokens onto the map too?
I mean, realistically, you don't necessarily have to, but yeah, you might as well. Part of why I say you don't necessarily have to is most of the time, players don't really move themselves around inside of combat. So you guys see this ogre kind of coming out of the woods, and it is starting to charge at the other two. So on some level, you kind of have an opportunity to intercept it. What would you all like to do? And Taryn will go first.
Well, if I see it charging, I'm gonna shoot an arrow at it immediately.
Solid crit. Gonna do 11 piercing damage.
And then I'm gonna move forward. Let's see. Like that. Yeah, no bonus action for me though. So I'm done.
What would you like to do, Jack?
So we're outside the walls at this point.
Yeah, on some level, this is kind of like you guys leaping out over the walls to get out there.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to draw my crossbow and fire an arrow or bolt. And I'm going to kind of move to closer towards Taryn and maybe give a shout, backwards to essentially let people inside the camp know what's coming.
Gotcha.
And maybe try to position myself. I don't know where the gates are, but essentially try to position myself between the ogre and the gates.
They're on the northwest side, so you can pretty much assume the camp is behind you guys, like outside of that southwest corner of the map right now.
Okay.
So it will go back around. Taryn, what would you like to do?
Another pot shot.
Gonna sink into one of the arms again, doing a little bit of damage to it.
Let's see. I'm just gonna move back a little bit towards Jarek.
So it's going to close that distance as it just swings at Jarek, just with like an open claw, and there's just like cracked bones, like just beneath its actual wrist. It only has like part of its hand. And of course, I still had Whisper on, but I am going to take the crit anyways because I rolled a nat 20. It is going to blast into Jarek, and it is going to deal 23 points of bludgeoning damage as it blasts you with like its broken bones.
All right, so I am that hurt.
Starting with a crit always does. And then it's going to go to you, Jarek.
All right, so I'm gonna second wind. Oh, jeez.
My bad. At least proof that I'm not lying.
Oh no, I believe you.
Yeah, it always feels bad though. I like roll the Whisper to roll its hit points and then accidentally like leave it on and crit. Like that feels bad.
All right, so I'm going to move a bit. I'm going to drop the crossbow as this thing closes in. Pull out a scimitar. And I'm going to, slash at it, and then I'm going to action surge to slash at it again.
All of those will hit. Dealing 14 more. Just kind of like carving chunks of flesh off of something that already has just gaping wounds of flesh, that there's just no meat left. You're just like carving off like right to bone.
Oh, and actually, if it's not too late, can I have made one of those a distracting strike? I keep thinking I have to use a bonus action for that, but for those I don't have to. Sorry.
Is that an extra damage die, or is that just? I don't know distracting strike offhand, so.
Oh yeah, so it's an extra 1d8.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be one. I mean, if you wanted to do it on both, like that's something that you can still do. But in general, yeah, I'd rather you do the die with the attack. But that's one thing, like with melee people, it's hard to slow you guys down. And actually, I want you to make one attack, try to assess things, and then make your other attack kind of thing.
Okay, yes, I'll just use up the once for that one. And that would give the next attack advantage.
Gotcha. So it is gonna go around to you with advantage, Taryn.
Yeah, let's see. I always forget how this works. If I drop my bow, can I pull out both my short sword and my dagger?
You have to have a feat to be able to do that. If you, I feel like it's 2-weapon fighting or something. There's a particular feat that lets you draw both of your weapons.
That's right. It's one weapon as a free action, or 2 weapons with the 2-weapon fighting feat. So
Yeah, but
remember it,
It's
Mara?
just
Sound right?
short sword.
I feel like it's the wrong name for the feat. But that's how it'll play out. Like, if you want to draw your weapon, you're basically limited to drop your bow, and you can pull out one of those weapons. But
You allow the second weapon on the next turn, like as the next time
Well,
there's a
part
free
of
action?
what I'm thinking is you were already planning this on some level. There's not necessarily a reason you couldn't have dropped your bow last turn and drawn one of your weapons and draw the next weapon now to actually go attack. But that's kind of how you have to plan it ahead.
Okay. Then I'll know that to next time.
I feel like even that might be like a little extra cheat of it. Because I feel like the arrow is kind of your free action. But in the long run, part of what I'm getting at is like without the actual feat, you can't just do it in a single turn. So
Okay, so this turn I'll just pull out my short sword then. I'll pull out my dagger next turn. Let's see. I'm gonna move up.
and then this will be with advantage.
Nice.
And I think that strikes where you're gonna start to see like a larger chunk of like an arm is gonna come off like at like one of the big joints, maybe like a shoulder blade. So assuming you don't have a bonus action right now, do you want to bonus anything?
Let's see. Let's see. How much should I move? 9, 10, 15. I want bonus action disengage at the moment. Just a little bit off. They can't just swing at me immediately.
So it's gonna swing back for Jarek. I actually look at it to see that that's a miss. Pretty sure 12 is a miss with Jarek. Let's see, 15.
15
So it's
AC,
gonna
yeah.
swing at you with the arm that Taryn just cut off, and it's just going wide because it's gonna notice kind of as it passes by, almost like swinging. "Huh, I don't have any arm on that side of my body," and then it's gonna go to you.
All right, so I'm going to draw my short sword out. Attack with the scimitar first. I'm going to try to make this another distracting strike. Oh, I can only use it if I hit anyway, so let me do that first.
That's a hit.
All right, so distracting strike. 1. And then I will attack it with the short sword. And I have the 2 weapons, so I do get the modifier, yeah. And I'm going to stay my ground there, so that's my turn.
Island and Barney, can you both roll initiative?
Sure.
Oh, wait, you guys are going to be coming from that bottom left or bottom right. I got you right at the corner.
Great. I thought throwing my
Gotcha.
token on there would get me into initiative, but it didn't work. Sorry. I guess I had to throw it on there and select it.
You do, yep. So Barney, it's going to start with you. This creature is well injured. I feel like Jarek also looks well injured. You have plenty of distance to cover, and you probably can't run that far. You probably want to be able to attack with something ranged right now.
Yeah, I was thinking about throwing a hammer, but doing the movement first. About how much closer can I get?
If you see, you are on the bottom right side of this screen.
Yeah, I can see that.
What's your movement?
Speed is
25?
25.
Yeah, so if you go over on the left side of the screen, there's a little ruler, and you can measure how far away from it is you are. Was it? Oh, it was pressing Alt. I like no snapping, so you can just like measure from something. But you are 55 feet away.
And this is assuming this is a usual 5x5 grid situation.
Yeah.
So with that, throw a hammer. How did we want to roll that?
What are your hammers? Short swords?
Yeah, I was thinking the thrown hammers were
So it's going to be an improvised weapon. You are at disadvantage because you are over 20 feet. You're basically just rolling a d20 and roll 2 of them. I think you'll have your dex bonus is about the only thing.
okay. I'm not sure what my dex bonus is.
I mean, you could roll like a dexterity check, and that's essentially the exact same thing.
Okay, got it. Not with that,
Yeah.
I didn't. I just
So-
hurled a hammer off into somewhere.
Yep, you're just going to whip it, and I'm just going to straight up say if you were within 20 feet, that's a hit. 8 hits. This thing has no armor. So that was about as bad as it could really get. But you whip the sword out at it and just go a little bit wide and miss the creature by a little bit. I don't see why you couldn't throw another sword, though.
Okay, I'll throw another hammer.
So same thing. It's just going to go a little bit wide. And you are essentially disarmed at this point.
Oh, actually, would that first one have been a straight roll because of my distracting strike?
Oh, yeah, because Terran hasn't gone yet. Yeah, so yeah, that's correct. It is a straight roll because of the advantage. So roll, what is it, d6 plus 2 on your... Oh, wait, no, it's improvised weapon. Fuck. That's different damage. Fuck. Damn it. Just roll a d6 plus 2. So it'll do 3 damage.
3.
Yeah,
I
can't
feel
help you
like
on the
it
second
makes
one.
more sense that it's a non-proficient attack than that it's improvised, because it is actually your weapon. Let's see, that's movement, action, bonus action, and it will go to Terran.
Oh, then I'm gonna whip out my dagger, and
Oh, wait a second. My bad. Psych. No, never mind. He had disadvantage, so sneak attack doesn't work. My bad. It is on you, Terran.
all right, then whipping out my dagger, I'm gonna go back in and try to stab him.
Short sword will hit for 11,
And that's bonus action.
and that's going to sink in for another 1. The dagger, you just like stab it into a bone, and you're like, I'm pretty sure I chipped a little bit of that bone, but it's really hard to tell.
And then that's it. Yeah, because I used my bonus action. Yep, I'm done.
Yeah, it's hard to fight a zombified ogre.
So it is going to spin around at Terran and reach out with an 11 to hit him. I feel like that's way below your AC with a 14.
Yeah.
And it will be on Island. Do we have a Larry?
Yeah, Island is going to move laterally, trying to get towards Jarek. And he's going to cast a Sacred Flame on the ogre.
Incredibly dexterous. It gets hit by the Sacred Flame.
And that's my turn. Coming, Jarek.
Sacred Flame's actually radiant damage, right?
It is that I was hoping that did something extra, but I don't know. I chose not to use my necrotic damage because I thought that wouldn't help me since he's undead.
And it's going to go to Jarek.
All right, Jarek's going to keep just stabbing away at this thing.
Mara, did it do any extra damage because it was radiant?
It did damage because it was radiant, but no,
Okay,
you don't see
gotcha.
anything different.
Thanks.
You should continue to think that way because people who use necrotic damage against something that is undead are just asking for it to be resistant.
Or healed even, right?
They got rid of that. I feel like the last time there was anything like that, I think it was like 3-5. I think there might be a single creature that does that, but there's no reason for any character to really know.
Yeah, I feel like there might be some high level undead thing where that still applies, but I can't think of it.
So the
yeah,
first
so
one's going to sink in.
Sorry, I was just saying I'm still holding my ground, just kind of stabbing, slashing away at this thing, trying to take off chunks of the undead flesh. And
And the second one's going to sink into it as well. Going to go back around to Barney.
Okay, it's a little bit far for me to close and use my big hammer, so I'm just going to pick up a rock and throw it at him after closing about half the distance.
All right, you can do another dexterity check and roll a improvised weapon attack. So roll a d4. And anything else from you? Otherwise, it's going to go to Taryn.
Just pull out my big hammer, the one that we're calling a broadsword.
Wait, what? You know there's actual hammers, right?
Well, I'm just kind of confused as to what's going on now.
pretty sure there's like a Warhammer item, weapon.
Yeah, I see you with 2 daggers, 2 short swords, and a rapier. Yeah, like you could have
Yeah,
thrown a dagger. Daggers are actual throwing weapons.
yeah. Well, when we were doing the character creation, you were saying that I could substitute in hammers instead of those bladed weapons.
Yeah, so if you don't want a rapier, you can pick a hammer. But specifically, the homebrew was to let you name a short sword a hammer. So that's why those short swords are hammers. You just flavor them as hammers. Most of the time, I realistically want you to say, I'm going to attack with my short sword, and then describe it as a hammer attack. But as far as the rapier goes, there's actual hammers that you can select. So not everything is like a homebrewed creation because there's hammers.
Oh, okay. So a warhammer is what I was going for that one. I wasn't actually going to go with the bladed weapons. I wanted to have the hammers. So I guess we just kind of disconnected and all that.
Yeah, so if you reload your character, you've got a Warhammer. My bad. Taryn, up to you. What would you like to do?
Yep. Go back to swinging and stabbing.
And that's going to kill it. It's been living on undead fortitude as people just like plink off of the bones, just cutting chunks off of its flesh. And as you all start to swarm around this thing with one solid crit, how are you going to kill it with that short sword attack?
I'm too short to get to the head.
Oh, you
So
can run up its back.
I could,
You can run
yeah,
up the arm
yeah,
because it just
climb up.
swung on you, so it's facing you.
Yeah, okay. So climb up through its arm and like cut up its head.
So as it's trying to swing out at you, you're just going to run up the arm that's still there and just reach around with your sword and just through a long sawing motion, you just start to hack through its spine and you put the short sword in perfectly between the vertebrae and just with a little pop, the body's going to fall over and you're just going to see as this massive head like rolls across the ground. It's still moving and it's trying to like move towards you with its jaw, kind of trying to move across the ground, and it's still trying to bite out at you before 6 seconds, 10 seconds, and then it stops moving and the creature seems to be dead.
I think if it would have gone to 15 seconds, then it probably needed to step on it.
I'm just happy that it was the head that was still moving and not the body. Going with the chicken without a head.
And Jarek's gonna move over. It's like, well done, Taryn. And then just to be safe, he's gonna like bring his boot down on the at the head, try to like essentially crush it into pieces.
Make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, sorry, I hit check. It would be a +2 to that on a con save.
Ah, yeah, you were well above what I was looking for, anyways. So as you like stomp down into the head, you definitely disintegrate it. It's far squishier than you would have expected, and you just feel like a moment where there's just like a little bit of a cut on your leg. It's nothing like severe, but like right up to your ankle. And you kind of think about it for a moment as you feel like that little bit of wince of pain. Like I've been walking around in that shit mud inside of this thing's head. Nothing about getting cut there was a good thing.
All right, I'm going to take some water from my water skin and kind of clean off what I can, and then kind of like that was probably a stupid thing to do.
So Barney and Island can return to the creation of the sewage. What else are you two doing on this day? Are you all actually like filling your day with anything, or?
I mean, Jarek and Taryn.
Yep.
I mean, Jarek could lend his, back into some of the drainage work, but otherwise, he might just, after the fight, he would probably kind of try and take it easy for the rest of the day.
Yeah,
Maybe
on
just
some
kind of
level,
like,
you two are blocked out of doing drainage work.
yeah, so he'd maybe just spend some time, like maybe speaking with the guards, a couple of the guards, trying to kind of make nice. Given all that's going on, maybe he'd offer to play a dice game to try and like, if they're not on duty, to maybe try and distract some of them, kind of playing for very, very low stakes or maybe not even money at all. but
So-
essentially just kind of whiling away the day like that.
You all have this day alone healed 36, 43 of them. Yeah, 43 of the people here. This is the first day that they're able to send out a full hunting party, and you'll see that they have about a third of their people are among the Chaltons who head out into the jungle. And with them, it seems like there's 2 members of the Order of the Gauntlet who head out as part of that scouting party, and they basically go out as like 2 larger groups. So they head out, and you'll kind of hear remarks from different people that that's among the first like full hunting party that they'll send out for a while, and that like nutrition level is an important part of it. Um, you might find a few guards who have some spare time, but you see all of them are extremely anxious, and most of them don't sit down and relax with you for much more than a few minutes before they just feel the need to actually be doing something, in case Breakbone kind of notices. And again, it's just because for the longest time, they've been doing their duty while they're severely ill. That the people who don't have duty are like on death's door, kind of ill. But get a little bit of like information here and there from these people. A lot of them are here trying to help, and in particular, they're trying to like fight back the undead. But you can definitely gain a sense that of like say 6 soldiers who kind of sit down with you at different points during the day. They all feel some sense of dread where it's just like we may have bit off more than we were expecting. They don't know if they're going to get to see their families again.
Yeah, sorry. One other thing Jarek might do is at some point during this day is inquire as to whether there's any chance of him finding essentially a spare, not a quiver, but whatever the crossbow bolts come in a case.
Do you want bolts, or like a quiver is the right thing regardless of what kind of?
Yeah, I guess a quiver or a case of bolts. I think they come like 22 one.
Oh wait, do you want the holder or do you want the bolts?
The bolts. I don't know if he can. Yeah, I get he just the bolts. He would. Yeah, like for some backup ammunition, and he would offer to pay for them if they were needed. Like, he'd also be fine if they don't have them available. He's not sure what the supply situation is, but that would be kind of one thing he would ask about over the day.
Gotcha. While I'm kind of looking for that real quick, Taryn, what are you up to today?
Well, he's probably gonna go ask like if anyone needs help with menial task, cleaning, gathering wood for uh, the fires or anything. If they need help with lookout, just trying to keep himself busy.
Who do you think you would go to first? Got like guards along the wall. You've got the different hospital tents. Different people who are like trying to actually take a rest in their tents, like off duty.
Probably the hospital tent. They need it, like anything cleaned out.
Gotcha. Yeah. So heading into the hospital tents, I think you would indeed find. I don't think I've said her name the same way twice, but Sias just kind of cleaning or kind of like trying to help people. You can see that she's already exhausted. It's essentially the same way the other healers did. They like wake up and try to heal people, and then the whole rest of the day is like that level of mentally exhausted. Effectively, as their deity's power kind of leaves them, it leaves them exhausted. But you see that they have no shortage of like effectively like cotton bandages that they are washing and trying to disinfect and then dry. So on some level, I feel like you can basically be an assistant on that level of just trying to. Um, it's almost they don't want to use the river water, and they don't want to use the clean water that like Eku has summoned. But they have other barrels that they're like, we're reasonably sure this is safe, but we also fear that the leeches have gotten into it, so nobody will drink it. And that's kind of like what they end up using is like the wash water, like that. But I feel like you can definitely assist the hospital tents in effectively preparing bandages.
They don't boil the water, or the leeches don't get affected by that, maybe.
Yeah, I can definitely think about boiling. Yeah, they definitely boil water to clean them. That's what you're doing all day. You are boiling large vats of old bandages.
Groovy. Yeah, okay.
As far as part of like the survival in this land is anytime you leave water for any amount of time, there's a constant chance that it gets infected with the leeches. That's part of why the actual summoning of the water magically is so powerful, is that every time you summon it, that water is safe. Yeah, so I was pretty sure, but I did want to confirm it. As you start to kind of like ask around to see what their conditions are, they do not have a Fletcher in the camp. And among the things that they need from Nyanzaru is that they lack arrows and bolts. Um, Roll a persuasion at disadvantage for me, Jack.
So I think actually Jarek hearing that, he would not even try to persuade them to give up what they can spare. He would just kind of let the matter drop.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily that you're actually being persuasive. It's more like how you bring it up to see if the person, like, kind of out of their goodwill is going to give you bolts.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, you can still deny it in the conversation. Roll a d6 for me. So you're just gonna see, you're just gonna have one of these soldiers who kind of like looks down at their quiver. Um, I don't have much to offer, but I can give you some. We still have some supplies, though we are lacking. And he'll give you 5 bolts. So, but again, like the others would have like on some level, you still would know that they are lacking in them. That's just kind of how this guard in particular would kind of pan them over.
Yeah, so Jarek would he would kind of nod at the offer, and he'd I I appreciate it truly, but um given the situation, I think you'll need these more than I will. And he would hand them back.
What's your passive perception? Pretty good.
10, not that great.
Shit, that makes me actually have to look up what a guard has for dexterity. Yeah, so as he ends up like or like as you leave this conversation or whatever, you're going to feel like a little like touch to your side. And he's gonna drop a couple of bolts inside of your quiver.
The best way to say kill a couple of them on me.
So yeah, if you don't do anything once you like feel it, because you do feel it, but he throws 2 bolts into your quiver, so you can add 2 bolts.
Yeah, after giving them back, and then if he went through the trouble of putting a couple in, I'm not going to deny him again. So I would just kind of, I'll take those 2. So, and then thanks. And he would like kind of, if he caught the guard's eye, he would kind of nod, like a, a grateful nod.
Yeah, just like that subtle recognition. Um, yeah, so I think you guys are gonna get pretty close to finishing your days with your various kind of tasks around the camp. At some point, there is going to be like a heavy downpour of rain. Um, you guys are still outside, um, finishing up like the last bits of the ditch, and we're actually going to do a little bit of a reverse order here, as we're going to start with Island and Barney. Do a perception check for me. Um, yeah, just do a normal perception. Could have called disadvantage with that roll. All right, so as you two are getting close to finishing, you're going to hear calls from the guards above you as there are undead coming out of the forest. And when you start to turn to look, you're going to see about. Oh, I can't move anything while pressing Alt. About like 30 or 40 feet away from you, just inside a view of the rain, you're going to see that there is undead shambling towards you all. And it's just going to be basically a wall of undead coming out of the forest around the entire camp. You guys, in particular, are going to be here for that section. And for what it's worth, let me have Jarek and Taryn roll a d4. Sometimes low is good, guys. So, Jarek, you're going to come in on turn 3, and Taryn, you're coming in on turn 4. Let me have Island and Barney roll for initiative.
I just assume that anytime I roll high on one of these things, it's a case where lower is better. So. And vice versa.
Well, that's like a unique moment where it's kind of behind the screen. Almost anytime I have stuff come in on waves, I roll d4s to figure out when stuff comes in. So, like when I had them come in before, I just rolled a 3. So I'm like, yep, both of them are gonna get away from their work and get over to this area of the map, basically on the 3rd turn.
Okay, with waves coming in, that's bad.
Holy shit, man. So I think you guys are just going to see as the slow march moves towards you. And then it's going to go to Barney to react, as you guys are already relatively surrounded by these creatures.
So I take it we're backed up against the wall.
On some level, yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully somebody has mercy on us and throws us a rope. Okay, that's
Oh yeah, you guys aren't getting help from NPCs. They're fighting other stuff.
okay. You just moved us all there, so that means we've got space to move.
Sounded like you wanted space.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to sense is that is the entrance to the uh, fortification in which direction and how far?
Well to the south. Do you guys want to run away from this? Just a side note, if you guys want to run away, this is going to be the end of the session. If you guys want to fight these things, you can fight them.
I don't see where. But Kaylin, let me know what you think. I'm wanting to run.
Yeah, I'm going to turn them. So it won't be maybe so out of control. We can clean this up, I think.
Okay. And I'm gonna back off, throw a hammer, and we'll just go from there. And I'll do one of those throwing hammers.
All right. If you throw your hammer, you're not going to have it. And then you're going to eventually be stuck with that very particular hammer. So what are you doing here?
Yeah, like we have to win for you to get your hammer back, right?
Pretty
That's
much,
right.
yeah. Like if you
Well,
want a throwing
right.
weapon, you've got throwing knives, those daggers. That's a better throwing weapon than throwing your short swords.
Okay.
Otherwise, again, you guys are in a critical situation where a lot of this group really does need range attacks.
Well, I'm gonna back off. I'm ready my hammer and just prepare to play off of Aylin's lead.
So if you're ready in action, what action are you holding?
An attack.
Against?
That's against one that closes on me.
So if something gets in melee positioning on you, you're going to attack.
That is correct.
Alrighty. And it's going to go to Island. What would you like to do?
I want to hold up my holy symbol and turn these undead creatures. So they have to
DC
roll a
13?
DC 13, yeah.
And it's Wisdom?
Wisdom saving throws from them, yeah.
And it's within 30 feet.
Yeah, I think I can reach them all. So 3 out of the 5 made it. Is that what it looks like?
And it's on their turn that they run, right?
I don't know the answer to that one. Hold on. It spends its turn trying to run away. Yes, so I think it
So I don't
waits.
think you know how many passed or failed, but with
Or
the
which
idea of
ones.
my dice, yep, 3
Yeah,
failed or
gotcha.
2 failed.
I'm gonna shout run, and I'm gonna run 30 feet south. That's my turn.
First of the undead creatures is going to just start to walk up to you, and it is going to. I think it's gonna claw out at you.
Now, do I get to?
Yep,
Since
you
I
got your
prepared.
attack.
Okay.
Roll the damage. Anytime you roll an attack, I want you to roll damage if it doesn't show up.
Ooh, Barney.
Oh, come on.
If you just click on where it says main hammer in red, that should roll it for you.
It didn't.
And add your stuff. No, gets you your crit and everything. It's too bad.
No, it didn't work.
So 3 damage, 4 damage.
Mess.
Is going to claw out at you as it. Damn it! I still left the fucking whisper on. As it closes the ground, that should hit. It's a 19. I think that's well above AC's. Yeah. And I'm going to need a Constitution saving throw from you, and it's going to do 8 slashing damage to you. Wrong die, same solution.
All right.
And back around to Barney.
Okay, my attack against him.
Solid hit.
So die 6 plus 2 is 6.
And what do you want to do with your bonus action?
I can attack again.
You could attack with your other hammer.
Okay.
Solid.
Doing well today. Now this is just a die 6. It's not plus 2.
Well, you could also just roll the second d6 if you're just rolling the dice.
I don't understand.
You critted. Roll 2d6. Like, roll another d6, so you have a total.
Oh, okay. And then 4 more. Is that what the green means is critical?
Yeah, I mean, if you mouse over that, you can see that it's a 20 plus 4. Your modifier is a plus 4. But yeah, green saves you a little bit to show you that that's a crit.
Okay.
If you click where it says in pink in Roll20, offhand hammer, like that doesn't do anything for you?
It doesn't say in pink anywhere.
Like right underneath the 24 in the chat log.
That's not in pink? Did you uninstall Beyond 20? No, you're still sending shit from D&B. Island, what are you doing?
Praying, I guess.
What kind of prayer are you saying?
The one where we're gonna get fucking killed, and that sucks. I don't understand my sacred flame if there's like, because there's no problem casting it in melee range, right? Because it's cantrip.
Nope, it's a saving throw. Snow attack roll of yours.
Okay. I'm gonna cast Sacred Flame.
Which
I'm
one?
cast Sacred Flame on the one that Barney's fighting. Any good?
I mean, if you're casting it, you can cast the spell, but yeah, it's failing.
And then I'm gonna run south. I have to disengage and run, but I don't have any action that would let me disengage. So
If you don't Sacred Flame, you can use an action to disengage. But if you're running away right now, they're both swiping at you.
yeah.
And that's literally like a, what is that, like 0.97 odds?
0.97 odds. I don't know if I know what you mean.
I just rolled 2 1s for both of their attacks.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, that's amazing. Did they hit each other? We're not doing that anymore, huh?
I missed that rule, but nope, we got rid of that. That's
like that
part
rule
of
too.
why I thought that rule was awesome, is because it cleared out more enemies than it would ever hurt people. But people did not like the idea of being able to hurt their friends. That was an awesome rule. I'm pretty sure we had
Hold on a
Jarek
second.
on turn 3.
Sorry, I just want to check.
Yeah.
I can run 30 feet, so I want to make sure I can run 30 feet. Yeah. I want to make sure I ran 30 feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I
6.
never care about the movement. Like, I'll always skip past your turn while you guys are still moving.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. I turned your counter invisible, so you can't actually see yourself. Yeah, you're going to be in that bottom left corner.
Yeah, I was just placing myself
bad,
on there. You
bottom
can
right.
move me to wherever. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, I was going to have you guys come in right where you could actually help the fight, but now you got some distance. So as you're kind of like leaping over the edges of the embankment, you see Island is fleeing from a couple of undead creatures that are running after him. And you've got Barney off probably like 80 feet from you, who seems to be fighting another creature that oh shit, Barney, roll a constitution saving throw.
Okay.
Did he do that when he got attacked? No?
It's a different thing.
Oh.
That creature in particular has just a cloud of stench around it. It's just like flying, like flies and ichor.
Creepy. Alright. Glad I ran away.
So anyway, Jarek's running up with his crossbow out. He's gonna shout like, "Get to the gate! Get to the gate!" And he's going to fire a bolt at the one attacking Barney. And if it hits, I'm going to make it a goading attack if I can.
Goading will add the damage, and it wants to attack you, correct?
So it doesn't necessarily, like, it doesn't force it to, but it has disadvantage if it attacks anybody other than me for the next, until I think the start of my next turn. Oh, sorry, no, I must make a wisdom saving throw first. If it passes, there's no effect on the disadvantage. Yeah, so just the extra damage. Yeah, if it had failed, it would have disadvantage on attack rolls against other than me until the end of my next turn. But it could attack somebody else, like if I'm out of range or something.
Gotcha. So as you send that bolt out into the distance, creatures like clawing out at Barney, and the bolt like goes right through the side of its face, and it's like right behind the eye sockets, and just kind of sticks in right behind this thing's eyes.
All right, and that's my turn.
It is going to claw out at Barney again. It should hit him, and it's going to do 14 slashing damage, and I need another Constitution saving throw.
It's going to take me to -1 or to
Gotcha.
0, whatever that means.
Yeah, you're just at 0, so you're just going to fall unconscious.
Is the Constitution check still relevant, or?
Roll it, yeah. I'm not sure how relevant that will be, but you guys are going to see as Barney's body tenses up and he falls over to the ground. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, this is how ghouls act. They are going to charge after Barney. One after the other is going to close the distance to him. They smell the poison inside of his body. And the first one is going to hit and lose 2 death saving throws. And the second one is going to hit as it pulls out Barney's heart. It is going to bite into his heart, and they will kill Barney.
I hate ghouls.
I like Barney.
Yeah, ghouls and a ghast are a vile thing. The ghast is what gave them advantage against your turn undead. But once they get that stun, ghouls want to eat whatever is stunned. And it's going to go to Island.
Let's head for the gate.